Hi there, I want to tell my review of November. So November is an Estonian film that came out in 2017 and it's a weird oddity that I think is going under the radar in a lot of places, and I think it's actually pretty good and worth checking out. It's a film that is strange, to say the very least. It comes from Estonia, and it's one of those films in this current era which we have, which is full of Eastern European black and white art house movies that are like filled with history and despair, you know. Films by people like Bilatar or Polakowski, or films like How to Be a God, and that's kind of what this film is. It's another one of those, God, doesn't life and history suck? But it's weird, it's surreal, it's fucking out there. The film's filled with stuff like Satan and werewolves and all sorts of weird magical stuff. There's objects that come to life. It's a film that is so strange and so bizarre, and I can't really go through the bizarreness of it all without not really selling just how strange a film November is. So November is this surrealist tale to do with love and heartbreak and death and all sorts in 19th century Estonia, back when the Germans ran the country, if you know your history. And in fact, incidentally, the German character played by the guy from the Human Centipede, and he turns up and you're like, oh, the film's going to get really weird now, and he's actually one of the least weird things in the film, so there you go. So there's a lot here, there's a lot of really good imagery. There's imagery of like snow blackening, there's this bleached white imagery, there's trees that make up brightness and humans who make up darkness, there's emphasis on witchcraft, there's literal shit eating, there's all sorts of stuff. There's a naked woman who becomes a wolf, there's all sorts of oddities within this film, and that's before we even get to like the music, which is this haunting, melancholic, repeating tune which really sticks with you. And the whole thing is to do with the heartbreak of love, it's to do with all sorts of things. There's a little emphasis here on the struggle for Estonian identity. There's also things to do with the old reconciling to try to understand the young. There's ideas to do with love and love's eternal flow, and love being silent but love always being there, and people who love someone else, and love triangles and complicated little character moments. And it's a film which is really delicate in that sense, in that it really carefully places its details and it carefully places its surrealism just to try to tilt its world to something otherworldly, whilst also maintaining the human spirit at the heart of it. It maintains that sense of love and that sense of hate that really makes these films gripping and really something to invest in. And November is one of those films which you only get from the most despairing, depressing corners of cinema. But at the same time, it is filled with a bit more than just pure nihilism. It is filled with a sense of the world can possibly somewhat improve, maybe, even if there's no happy endings to be found. I mean, the plague is literally mentioned in the film, and the film is definitely a film where it seems to avoid happiness like the plague. It doesn't want to provide an ending that will satisfy the characters, and that is essentially kind of how life is. I mean, as well as this, the film is excellently put together, the imagery is fantastic, the production design is amazing, and the camera work is really distinctive. So across the board, I think November is an interesting film. I think it's worth checking out. I think it's enticing and hypnotic and bizarre and something to really dig into. So I'd say November is a pretty great film. And that's what I think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've seen November, please leave me a comment. If you've liked this review, please give it a like. If you want to read more of my reviews, you can follow me on Letterboxd or Twitter. If you want to hear more of my reviews, you can subscribe. Thank you for watching, and November, it's a great film.